Hi, in this session we will be discussing about the special topics. The special topics like null values, dual, and then the quotes, and then printing special characters. Working with special characters means when we say null value, how do we insert null values? How do we reference null values in the where clause? How do we update the columns with null values for various data types? For number, character, LOBs, long column, date column, raw column, etc. and B file column. So how do we assign or how do we insert null values into these data types, and how do we update the values of these data types? How do we select the values from these data types by referencing null value in the where clause? And how do we select the data from the table where the value is null or where the value is not null? How do we specify these things in the where clauses or our select queries? That is what we will be learning in null values topic. Let us start with null value, then we move on to the next topics. What is a null value? Null value is an undefined value, an undefined, which is not defined, which is unknown value, which is not known at present. In future the value may be known, but at present it is unknown value or undefined value, the value which is not defined at present. That will be treated as a null value. That means when we have a null value, this null value will not be equal to anything. It will never be equal to anything. Null will not equate or equals to anything. That is, null is not equal to a blank. Null is not equal to a space. Null is not equal to an empty. Null is not equal to the number or digit 0. Null is not equal to the word 0. Null is not equal to empty parenthesis. And finally, null is not equal to null. So when we have two null values, they are different from each other. They are not same. If we have 100 null values, all the 100 values are different from each other. None of the null values will be same or equal to some other null values. So when we say null, it doesn't or never equate to anything. That is why null we define as an undefined value. So whenever we do not know the value, those values will be treated as null values. Take an example. While filling the application form, we need to fill the value of date of birth. While filling the application form, maybe job application or maybe academic application, any application, to fill the column of date of birth, the applicant has left blank. In the application form, the date of birth field is left blank by the applicant. Now, when we wanted to enter this data into our database, we cannot enter 0. We cannot enter any other value over there because we need the exact value. At present, we do not know the date of birth of this applicant because he has not filled, he has not given the details. So, for temporary purpose, For time being, we will be inserting the date of birth value as null. Means it is not provided, it is not known to us at this point of time. Maybe we can ask, we can check, or we can get the details from that particular applicant later, and then we can fill the details over there. Till that point of time, the value will be treated as a null value in that particular field or attribute. So that is how we will be inserting null values into the columns of a table or database. So wherever the values we do not know, we will be entering null values into those columns. So null will not be equal to anything. Due to this reason, the unique constraint will be allowing any number of null values. Even the foreign key allows any number of null values. Most of the people will assume that in case of unique constraint, it allows only one null value, which is wrong. Unique constraint, or the column of unique constraint, allows any number of null values because null is not equal to null. If we insert three null values, all the three are different from each other. That is why it will allow all the three null values. So we can have any number of null values into unique constraint and foreign key constraint because null is not equal to null. Now, let us see how do we work with null values in our real-time situations. First, inserting. How do we insert null values into various data types? See, let us take our data types. We have number, varchar, char and varchar. They are same. That is why we have not included the char data type here. This is varchar, date, raw, long, BLOB, CLOB, NCLOB and B file. Even timestamp is there. Timestamp and date works similar, same. That is why if you know how to insert null value into date, the similar way we can insert null value into timestamp as well. Both will be same, like char and varchar. Now we will be inserting null values into these all columns of various data types. Let us insert. Table name is t underscore null. We are inserting values. First number, NULL. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 columns are there. We have to provide 9 values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We are providing null value through the keyword NULL for all the 9 columns of various data types. For number, varchar, date, raw, long, BLOB, CLOB, NCLOB, B file. When we insert NULL as a null value for all these columns, one row created. That means if we want to insert null value to any data type, we can use the null keyword. We can enter null value to any data type using null keyword. Second example. With empty string between two single quotes, this is not double quote, this is two single quotes, two different single quotes. They are different. So in between, empty, nothing. So we are inserting null values for all the 9 columns. Number, varchar, date, raw, BLOB, CLOB, NCLOB, B file, one more is there. First one is number, and then varchar, date, raw, long, BLOB, CLOB, NCLOB, B file. So we are providing empty strings for all the 9 columns. Yes, it has accepted. Let us create this table. table is created. We are inserting all values as null. It has created. Next, all values as empty strings. It has created. Next, so null string is allowed, null as a keyword is allowed, empty string is allowed. Next, we are trying with empty BLOB and empty CLOB. First one is number, second one is character, third one is date, raw, and then long, BLOB, CLOB, NCLOB, and B file. See, for number we are giving 1, character, varchar, we are giving empty CLOB, raw, empty BLOB, date as empty, long as empty CLOB, this is BLOB column, CLOB column, NCLOB, we are giving empty CLOB, B file name with null keywords. B file name is the function which is used to insert data into B file data type. Since it will accept 2 parameters, we are giving 2 values. First one is the directory name, second one is the file name. Both of them we are giving as NULL keywords. It has created. So empty CLOB can be given for varchar and char columns also, and long columns also. So empty CLOB can be given for character data columns, that is char, varchar, long, CLOB, and CLOB. Empty BLOB can be given for BLOB column and raw column, long raw column. Long and long raw, it is not allowed in one table. That is why long raw we have not used. But for long raw also we can use empty BLOB because it accepts binary data. Raw also we used, BLOB column also we used. We can also use it for long raw data type. It has accepted. Let us execute this in our SQL Plus and see, yes, it has accepted. Next, see, everything else is same here except the last one. For the last one, for B file data type, in first example we have given B file name of null comma null. Second case we are giving empty strings. Yes, this is also allowed. We can also provide the null value for B file data type with 2 null strings. Either direct null string is allowed, direct null keyword is allowed, or we can also use B file name of null null or empty empty. Both are allowed. We just use the commit. Now let us insert into individual columns. First one, C1 is number. So for number we are inserting NULL, empty string. Both are accepted. NULL is accepted. Empty string is also accepted. Empty BLOB not accepted for number column. Empty CLOB is not allowed. B file name with null keyword or empty string not allowed into number column. Next, C2, which is varchar. Empty string is allowed. Null keyword is allowed. Empty CLOB is allowed. empty BLOB is not allowed because it is binary data. B file name, empty CLOB without parenthesis also not allowed. B file name can be used only with B file data type. C3. C3 is nothing but date. C3 is a date. So how do we insert null value into date? Empty string is allowed, null keyword is allowed, empty CLOB not allowed. Empty BLOB also not allowed. We don't have here, but BLOB, CLOB is not allowed. So for date column or timestamp columns, we can insert null values in only two ways, with null keyword and empty string. No other way we can provide null values. Next, C4, which is raw data type. C4 is raw. Empty CLOB, it is not because it is character data. Empty BLOB is allowed. Null string is allowed. Null keyword is allowed. So we can provide null value to raw data type in three ways: null keyword, empty string, empty BLOB. C5. C5 is long. Long will accept character data. So we can use empty string, null keyword, empty CLOB. BLOB not allowed because binary data is not allowed into long column. If it is long raw, then empty BLOB is allowed. Next, C9. C9 is B file data type. So we can enter direct null string or empty string, or only B file name is not allowed with empty string. B file name with empty comma is also not allowed. Empty strings, 2 empty strings allowed, 2 null strings also allowed. Empty BLOB not allowed, empty CLOB not allowed. Next, for BLOB column, we can enter null string, empty string, empty BLOB. For CLOB and NCLOB, we can give empty CLOB, null and empty string. 3 ways. Now we have seen how to insert null values into various data types. Now we will see how to update with null values for the columns of various data types. Let us take C1. C1 is number. We can update the number column with null keyword or empty string. For character data, varchar and char, we can use null and empty. Even empty CLOB we can update directly. C3, which is date or even timestamp, null and empty, only 2 are allowed. C4, raw data type, binary data, null, empty and empty BLOB. C5, long character data, null, empty, empty CLOB. C6, this is BLOB column, null, this is empty, null keyword, empty BLOB. C7, which is CLOB column, it accepts character data, null, empty, empty CLOB. 8, C8 is NCLOB. It will accept multi-byte character data along with single byte character data. Since it is character data, null, empty, empty CLOB. Empty NCLOB is not allowed. That is not there. C9, which is B file data type. Directly we can update with null, with empty, B file name of null comma null, B file name of empty comma empty. So this is how we can pass the null values while updating the columns of various data types. Next, how do we reference null values in the where clause? For searching purpose, how do we pass null value with where clause? Suppose when we say where C1 equal to null, no rows selected, equal to empty, no rows selected, but we have many rows with null where C1 equal to null. Because this is not working, because null will not be equal to anything, null will not match with any other value. So that is why we cannot use equality operator with null. That is why when we use column name, where column name equal to null or equal to empty or equal to empty BLOB or empty CLOB, it will display no rows selected. No data will be displayed for us, because null value will not be matching or equal to any other value. That is why whenever we wanted to reference null value in the where clause, we should always reference them as is null or is not null. That is why we should never use equality operator with null values. So because we used equality operator, we are getting no rows selected. We should always use is null for any data type. See, we are using is null for C1, which is number. We got 23 rows selected. C1 is not null, no rows selected. We don't have any data where C1 is not null. C1 is number. I think we have inserted some records. Yeah. We have inserted 2 records and then commit. Now if we select is not null, C1 is not null, C1 is null, C1 is not null. We have 4 rows selected. Four rows are there where C1 is not null. We have inserted 1, 2, maybe before 2 rows, yeah, 1, 2, 4 rows we have inserted. So 4 rows are coming where C1 is not null. Next, C2 is null. C2 is character data type. 23 rows selected. C3 is null. C4 is null. C5 is null. C6 is null. C7 is null. C8 is null. C9 is null. So everywhere we are getting some data. C8 is null is not giving, C9 is null is giving data, C6 is not giving, C5 is giving. Up to C5 we are getting the data. C1 is null, C2 is null, we have data, C3 is null, we have data, C4 is null, we have data, C5 is null, we have data, C6 is null. It is giving 4 rows selected. Four rows are there here. Next, C7. We have 4 rows again. C8. Again 4 rows. C9 23 rows. Maybe here we have inserted only 4 rows. If we would have inserted everywhere, it will be 23. So some data is coming when we use is null. Next, we use empty BLOB, empty CLOB. It will not work because null value will not be matching to anyone. That is why it will throw error message. This is how we work with null values. And again, we can use is not null. Where C1 is not null. It's giving some data. C2 is not null. No rows. C3 is not null. No data. C4 is not null. There is no data. C5 is not null. There is no data. And then C6 not null. There is some data. C7 there is data. C8 yes, data is there. C9 no data. So is not null also will work. If we have data, it will display. When there is no data, it will not display. Is not null. It is displaying data wherever data is there. Wherever there is no data, it is showing no rows selected because we don't have any data in that case. So this is how we work with null values. Referencing null values while inserting the data, referencing null values while updating the data, referencing null values while selecting the data in the where clause. So once again, recap what we have learned here. Null is an undefined value which is not defined or which is unknown at present. Null will not be equal to anything. It will not be matching with any other value. That is, null is not equal to blank. Null is not equal to space. Null is not equal to empty. Null is not equal to 0 as a digit. Null is not equal to 0 as a word. Null is not equal to null. If there are two null values, both the null values are different from each other. Even there are 100 null values, all the 100 null values are different from each other. Since null is not equal to null, unique constraint allows any number of null values because they are not same. So multiple null values are allowed into the column of unique constraint. So we can reference the null value as either null keyword or empty string. Two single quotes with an empty in between. Two continuous single quotes. So these two are allowed everywhere, either in the where clause or in the update or in the insert. But we can also insert null values into the columns by excluding those columns in our column list during the insert. If the column, let's take our table, it has 9 columns, C1 to C9. When we insert value for C1 only, C2 to C9, we have 8 columns. All the 8 columns will be filled with null values. Means whatever the columns we have not excluded in the column list during the insert, all those excluded columns will be filled with null values automatically. So this is another way of inserting null values into the columns by excluding them in the insert statement. Otherwise, we can provide null as a keyword, empty string also can be provided. And for all the character data types, we can provide null value through empty underscore CLOB with empty parenthesis. For all the binary data type columns, when we say character data type columns, it can be char, varchar, varchar2, long, CLOB, and CLOB. In all these cases, we can also enter the null value as empty underscore CLOB with the 2 empty parentheses. For binary data types, we can pass empty underscore BLOB with 2 parentheses. The data types which support binary data type is raw data type, long raw data type, BLOB data type. For these 3 data types, we can provide the null value as empty underscore BLOB with 2 parentheses along with null and empty string. For date data type and timestamp data type, for these 2 data types, we can provide the null values only in 2 ways. One is null keyword, another one is empty string. Except these 2, no other value is allowed as null value into the data types of date and timestamp. When we say timestamp, all the timestamp data types. Timestamp, timestamp with time zone, timestamp with local time zone, interval day to month, interval day to second, interval year to month. In all these data types, we can enter the null values as null and empty string. Next, the last data type, which is B file data type. We can enter the null values into B file data type in 4 ways. This is the special data type where we can enter the null values in 4 different ways. One is null keyword, second one is empty string, third one is using B file name data function. We can pass 2 null keywords inside that or 2 empty strings inside that. So this is the data type which can accept 4 different null values into the column. That's all about working with null values.